Hey everyone, this is the Daily AI Show, and today is Monday, September 4th, 2023.
Labor Day.
And Labor Day, yes, we all we all decided to hop online and do a great episode. Today we're going to be talking about AI and your CRM and the possible future for customer relationships. I'm going to hand it off to our resident Salesforce expert and CRM guru, Beth Lyons. Beth, tell us about AI. How does it work with CRMs? And what are we going to see in the future?
Okay, well, first, shout out to all my trailblazers. Hello. Thank you. I was wearing it until 5 minutes ago when it is just too hot in Washington, D.C.
Nice.
So one of the things that we keep hearing about in AI and fine-tuning your own models and those sorts of things is that if you are possessor of data, AI makes your data a superpower, right? So if you have deep knowledge in an industry or deep knowledge in a segment, deep knowledge of your customers, what AI does is power that so that you can get insights that the AI can find patterns in that humans don't. One of the things that, and I'm sorry, I don't remember if it was in Paul Reitzer's book or the Marketing AI podcast, but he was talking about, and it's probably not AI because he was a HubSpot guy, but he was talking about a story where an Australian tour company was looking for expanding their customer base, and the AI could see that actually it wasn't just tourists. They also had a small segment of people who were coming home to Australia who were Australians, who wanted to do the tour just to like see everything, right? Like do that kind of stuff. That was not something that was not a customer that she was aware of, and it expanded their customer base. So that's just like a small story about the ways that AI can give your product superpowers, can really expand that. I will say, okay, so I'll do my little presentation. I will share totally upfront that this is these are shots. I'm basically summarizing this episode 11 on the Salesforce AI Day show. Salesforce has its own sort of online TV studio called Salesforce Plus. If you want to know what people are doing with Salesforce, that's great. Also, Dreamforce is next week, so if you want, you can register for the online version for free, and you can see the keynotes and that kind of stuff. And Sam Altman is going to be there. Okay, so that's where all this comes from. Just to be clear, Salesforce is not new to AI. Salesforce has been doing AI for a while. It started in 2014. Einstein GPT happened. Einstein GPT happened in 22, 23, but Einstein Insights, Einstein Search has been like longer than that, like 2021. And really what that meant was that you could use natural language processing to ask the CRM to give you insights, right? So, yeah. So you could ask for everyone who had bought this product within a certain time period in a way that didn't require your Boolean, right? Like customer equals this, product equals this, timeline. And that's nice because Salesforce has back-end people like me, but they also obviously have front-end people. And so the more natural language processing that you can put into something, the more user-friendly it is. And you can see on this slide, Einstein GPT, Slack GPT, Tableau GPT, and there are GPTs coming out for each section, each flavor of Salesforce, each of the clouds, actually. Okay, ask questions if you have them. This is just Salesforce is the #1 AI CRM. Okay. We harp on this all the time, but every business needs an AI strategy now. And if you are a current Salesforce customer, Salesforce has you, right? There are a ton of things that you're going to be able to do with Salesforce, and some examples of things that the AI strategy can give you: productivity, business models, customer experiences, workforce tools and skills, and product strategy. Again, because your data is in your CRM, you have such a leg up on other businesses that are looking for how to incorporate AI into their customer relations, into their sales process, that kind of thing. But back to a previous show when Brian said, if you do nothing else, go ahead and clean your data house, right? Like, make your data clean. Your data is only as good. Your CRM is only as good as your data, right?
Okay.
Salesforce has a core value of trust, #1 in the core values. And as everyone knows, there's a trust gap, right, in AI, and it's a reasonable trust gap because Salesforce does not hallucinate. AI hallucinates, which really just means that AI is taking what we think is probable and going with that, as opposed to knowing the actual information. And I heard this explained the other day, Junmi, where somebody was saying we do that too, right?
Oh,
Like, it's exactly the same thing of us saying, oh, I saw someone talk about something they read, right?
right,
And
right.
and they were saying that you shouldn't feed peanut butter to your dog. I have no idea. Don't use that in front. Like, that's a hallucination, right? And you go, oh, well, what was the study that came up with that? And I say, I didn't read the article. And you say, oh, who did? Oh, I was on TikTok, right? Like, she had red hair. Like,
The person who talks about the thing all the time and is really funny. Yeah, no, I totally get that.
So we do this too. We just understand when we're doing it. We don't expect each other to be like completely accurate about everything that we say. And we do in AI. And part of that is because it's a computer and we're used to computers giving us actual information that's accurate. And the other part of that is that AI tends to say things very confidently. So those are pieces. So there's a trust gap, and Salesforce has this #1 core value of trust, and therefore they have been they've been prepping for this, but they've also been rolling it out fairly carefully. And I've seen this: 59% of customers don't trust companies with their data. I've seen this stat happen in a couple different ways. People think that AI, and you're going to ask me where the thing is, and I think this is an IBM study, but this could also be a semi-hallucination. It's not a semi-hallucination. Okay. The majority of people, like 61% maybe, believe that AI can help their work, but also don't trust AI with their data, right? So we think that AI can improve our processes, but we're not entirely sure what you're doing with the data, so we're not using it.
What would you say is there just a natural defense mechanism when it comes to that reaction? Why it's such a big percentage? It's just people are worried that their data will just go all over the place. So is it just a realization? I guess what I'm asking is there a clear, defined separation between, is this just is this just people natural reaction, oh, data, AI, it's obviously not safe, versus the realities, what data protections we have in, and if we actually need those data protections.
I think that it goes back to what we're starting to hear, which is that people have dropped off use. I think people don't understand what's happening. I don't think they know how to use it particularly well. And all of that comes into a piece of like, I would like to know more about this before I put sensitive data into it.
Okay.
And Andy, welcome back. Did you have a thought about that?
Thanks for hopping back on, Andy.
Well, yeah, let me jump in here without knowing much about what the final presentation of the Salesforce view of AI and CRM was. So one of the key aspects of CRM is to segment your customer base. And Beth was talking about, using AI to do more refined analysis of the segments. And a little pushback on that is that, just how differentiated can your communications be with really, subtle and nuanced segmentation? Now, I think it was a great example that you used, which is, okay, I identified in a way that I probably wouldn't have seen that there was a cluster. This is one of the key advantages of AI, is to be able to cluster things. And I wouldn't have recognized this small cluster. It's a niche of people returning to Australia who are actually Australians. And maybe I would address them differently. And then my pushback is just how effective and, like, am I really going to increase the lifetime value of that customer because I phrase it a little differently, because I acknowledge that they're, an Australian? Or is everybody already seeing through all of those niceties about personalization, which is a key aspect of CRM? Like, have a relationship with your customer, personalize it, speak in their language, speak to them in a way that you know is going to have an effect. Well, I'm inured to all of that at this point. I mean, I don't see the real dollar value of all of that. So I tend to think of CRM, which is clearly, marketing, sales, and customer support as the sort of the trio of functions that are dealing with customer relationships. I see AI being much more interesting when it comes to automating that process. So we already have in big CRM systems, we have automation of communications campaigns to various segments. A segment is refined as, okay, this customer bought this from me on my e-commerce site, and that's going to trigger a series of email and text follow-ups that happen through my CRM management system. And that is going to attend to them in a way that acknowledges and understands that they bought this product. And so that may be their area of interest. Now, what can I do with that? Well, I'm going to upsell them. Okay, good. I'm going to upsell them, but I'm inured to that as well. I am turned off by all of the attempts to broaden my relationship. I'm really wanting things to get much more narrow in my exchange with them. And I mean by that, I don't want a full ongoing humanized relationship with an AI chatbot. And that's what the CRM systems are offering. So I'm ranting a little bit, but let me say that Salesforce clearly has been working on AI for a long time. One of the major, competitors for Salesforce in the sort of medium to large scale enterprise market is HubSpot.
Right.
And HubSpot has implemented AI across the board in their thing. So you don't even have to worry about AI. You're going to be able, already you're able to do content generation using large language models in crafting emails, in crafting marketing messaging, and so on. They'll do, data analysis as well. They're going to do call summarization if you're using calls. So all of the big CRM players and increasingly the smaller CRM players are going to incorporate this natural language capability of LLMs into their service offerings. And I think that's fine and good. But do I think this is really going to improve the CAC over LTV performance of companies? I'm skeptical. I really don't know that it's really going to get so automatic and magical that we're going to suddenly spend more money.
All right, I'm gonna let Jimmy talk in a second. But
Okay.
in terms of that automation and not trusting what's happening with your data, the fact that the automation can happen inside your CRM as opposed to some sort of other place, you're more secure. You're building on that trust. You're not exposing data and doing that kind of stuff. I'm sure HubSpot does that
yeah,
too.
I can imagine a Frankenstein system that I build in Zapier or Make.
Right.
Extracting lead information from customer in inbound communications and doing something bad with it. But that's probably not a big risk.
So Andy, I want to go back to what you're saying is that you're immune to this expansion of them trying to build a relationship with you. See, I think you're the perfect use case because what they're building out or what AI is guiding CRM to is those predictive analysis, and that personalization.
Right.
Your personalization is I'm immune to all the standard niceties and all of those kinds of things. So the personalization built for your profile or your persona based on their data is going to be different. The emails that you're going to get is probably going to be something along the lines of, hey, Andy, 5 seconds of your time. Do you want to buy this? No? Okay. We'll see you in a month. And that's it. So you don't, because you don't want a nicety type of, oh, how you doing, da-da-da, and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's where that power really is headed. That is the personalization and predictive analysis. Is they're going to just build customer personas, and it's just going to be more and more detailed because there's just more and more data on people out there. They can just scrape the web and find out everything out you want.
I think you make a good point. In an individual transaction that I get with a single company, I can see how AI-driven or expanded AI-enabled CRM communications with me could get sensitive to and understand if I gave it feedback, presumably. Maybe they could start to inquire, like, do you mind these communications? You haven't opened an email in 14 months. I'm continuing to communicate with you. What did I say? I don't know how they're going to, do it. But across the board, having many e-commerce companies, prospecting service companies, all of those companies inbound to my communications channels, I consider that fearful. Like, if they're going to increase their level of confidence about communicating with me, I just worry about inundation from all of these AI-driven systems. And believe me, I'm not a Luddite when it comes to technology. I'm very much into it. But when it comes to CRM, like, to be managed by a company as a customer, I'd rather manage that relationship with them. So now CRM also includes customer support. So I really do expect that AI-driven customer support, where I'm initiating the communication, is going to be better for me. It's going to be a little easier, a little more understanding, eventually very much more understanding and much more capable and competent in its communication in real time with me, whether that's through a chat bot or whether it's a conversational voice interaction with a customer support AI.
Right. Okay. So all of those are things that are possible now and are continuing to get built out. And that kind of personalization, that kind of individual personalization really isn't possible human to human, right? I mean, like that kind of insight.
It's hard to absorb everything that the AI can comprehend.
Right.
As a human customer support agent is very difficult.
Unless we go back to like the days when like I had 15 people that I was personally responsible for, and I call you up and I say, "Hey, Andy,
Oh my
how'd your
God,
daughter's graduation go?" And then we have that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
If
Right.
notes are taken in that, then that kind of stuff could conceivably be automated. But the other thing is that Salesforce is really designed for large businesses and large businesses that are becoming larger, right? Salesforce can help you expand that.
Let me say
And
one thing that I think is really, really good about the CRMs adopting AI is that a lot of the things that we use, have learned to use, are going to be available to you through your CRM vendor.
yes,
And hopefully not at a substantial increase in subscription cost. So, for example, call summarization is something that we do and we enjoy because we summarize this AI show, and
Yeah.
and the tools that we use, not a CRM, but it's a call summarizer, are really effective and capture the essential points that are made in this multi-party conversation. So all of that is good, and you can see that Salesforce has that too. Is that right?
yep. It actually looks very much like read.ai if anyone did that through Zoom, right? So there's a video, there's these there's a summary of what happened. You can go to a transcript, you can go to action items, etc.
Yeah. And another example would be, your CRM is going to be tracking all the email communications that come into your customer support, presumably, or into inquiries at an endpoint that you put out there in order to field product questions, for example, and extracting data from that is an AI function that's going to be very useful. And you can plunk that information then into the CRM, not just the metadata about the communication and the full text, but rather, this is a point of information that's useful for my segmentation or for my communications or whatever else, and I'm going to plunk that now into my CRM database.
Right. And so there are a couple things, and we see this now in service a little bit, but the idea that that it's actually the CRM that holds the story of you, so it doesn't have to be the same person, right? Or that person can leave, or whatever happens. The other thing, Andy, I think part of what you're talking about that we talk about a fair amount is if you have a system that is sort of predisposed to function badly, AI will just make that amplified, right? So if I'm saying, "Hey, friend, it's been a while since I've seen you. Don't you want to come back and see our all new mind mapping software?" That doesn't feel like, "Hey, friend." That's not a particularly helpful kind of interaction. Now, if I did want to come back, if I'm thinking, wow, my software is old and I want to get a new one, that's helpful. And maybe that's the business decision. We don't care about the people who are not going to click this. Because Andy, you said you're immune to that.
I said I'm inured. It's a
You're
slightly different thing.
inured.
I'm not
Sorry.
immune. I am inured. I have a wall of resistance to any attempt to be socially appealing to me.
So that's my question. Is it a knock on the company? Are you less likely to engage in the company because they send you those things, or does that just sort of go in the trash pile?
Well, I'm much more likely to block or stop those communications. Like if the company's texting me and they're texting me too much, and by the way, SMS is really increasing in terms of its value and its volume, and you really have to be sensitive to closing off that channel to the ones that just don't resonate with you or misaligned somehow.
So you click stop, right? Like,
well, I
or
type
whatever.
stop.
Right.
Okay, it's
Because,
technically a holiday, and my vocabulary has not aligned in the show.
one of the key aspects of CRM is, sort of the initiation of a relationship, right? And that starts with the lead capture. So they want to get your permission, which they have to acquire, to email you marketing messages, and they have to also get a specific permission for them to text or call you.
Mhm.
And so if they don't do that, they're violating the law, TCPA. And when they do that now, it's very aggressive. It's like, I can't engage with a chatbot, it seems like, anymore without giving them my email. I can't engage with a chatbot without giving them. I'm like, I don't want to start a whole transaction and relationship with you. I'm just looking for some quick information about your company and your products. That's all I want. And I don't want to go any deeper. But there's this insistence now. Let's get the email and get it up front.
And I would say that's that's a pet peeve for me too. I would say that's not necessarily a wise prospecting move at this point in time.
So where is the enlightened and beautiful customer relationship management that I'm wanting to do? Where's an exemplar of that?
Don't worry, Andy. Wait a couple weeks. It'll be better.
There you go.
The AI is getting better. Okay.
All right, we got a few minutes left. So
we know that you're ahead of your time. I want to highlight one other thing for Salesforce, which I think is kind of unique. Salesforce has a relationship with OpenAI, so that's built in. They also have hosted, you can choose your other flavors, Claude or Cohere, I don't remember who is Cohere, like what is their model. But you can also, if you are customizing your own model, you can have your own model as well. So this is something that I think is fairly unique about Salesforce, because all of this then is part of that.
I think is Cohere Beluga?
Oh, Cohere may be Beluga. Thank you.
I think so, yeah.
All right. Yay. All right, I am letting this go. Take us out.
Okay.
Well, before you go, I just want to say Salesforce has the best presentations. It's so compelling and so thorough and exhaustive. Well, just amazing. You really want
Andy,
to work with
I'm
them.
all for a healthy debate flame war about who's the best CRM. If you want to spend the last 2 minutes doing that, we could totally do that. Otherwise, I would really love to get both of your thoughts on what's the next step. What do you think is the next future step? What change are we going to see in CRMs for AI, or AI is going to change in CRMs? What are we going to see in the next few weeks, the months, or a year?
Okay, I'll say that this is my imagination, but I think that eventually AI will be able to gently and with consideration inquire about what it is that I need or want from this company, and create a profile of me based on my responses that will tune its communications with me. Right now, I don't see that side of the interaction. I don't see, and it's never been possible because that has to be a conversation, right? There has to be an inquiry and then my response. And I think AI can handle that. So when that happens, I think there's a new level of CRM that's possible.
I agree with that. I actually, yes, 100%. I think the technology is there now. I think there's more of a culture of sales that also needs to shift in this, a culture of like how this stuff happens, both from top down and like the individual people doing it. But I would agree with that. I would also say what I see coming out is the back end, because I'm a tech at Salesforce, not an end user, is that the back end is also the back end is also created by natural language processing, right? Same way that you can do with code interpreter and create a Python thing. I think you're going to be able to do a bunch more of that kind of stuff with any CRM that you're with. You're still going to want people who know, just like with Python, you're still going to want people who understand how to do it the other way. So you know that what got built is efficient and useful and not full of bugs.
So do you mean by that, for example, in an automated email marketing flow where you're doing
Sure.
sort of drag and drop campaign management, you could
Right.
just say, hey, now design a campaign flow sequence that will, follow these rules, and
Right.
boom, it happens, instead of you having to actually build that.
And there is an automation in Salesforce called Flow, which is a backend sort of moving data, doing some things, writing data. And Flow GPT is coming out, I believe, piloting next month. I'm sure they'll talk more about it at Dreamforce, which you can attend for free on Salesforce Plus next week if you would like. I don't work with them. I work with them.
For years, long ago, I had a satchel that was given me at Dreamforce 7. Wow, yeah, Dreamforce 7.
Go you.
Cred,
All right.
Street cred in CRM right there, let me tell you.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for us. We're a little bit over time, but thank you for joining us, everyone, on this Labor Day show. Thank you, Beth and Andy. That was a real nice spotlight on CRM and AI. Our audience, please, if you couldn't catch us live, you can watch the replays both on LinkedIn and YouTube, and you can catch us on Spotify. And if you want to watch a few clips from the ongoing shows, check out our TikTok. All right, everyone.
I'm just going to say, if you have topics you would like to see us cover, suggest them. We would love to know what you would love to know.
Definitely drop us a line. Give us a comment. We definitely want to hear anything from our audience, especially how well we're doing, hopefully. All right, everyone. That'll be it for today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy.
Have a good Labor Day.